Hey guys, what's up? It's Kevin for the win, and we're back for another edition of Jump Force, and today I got some bad news for you if you are a fan of this anime brawler game. Well, Jump Force is officially dead. It's officially over. Bandai Namco made an early announcement last week that Jump Force would be removed from all digital storefronts, which is obviously the Sony Shop, which is PlayStation Network. It's also going to be removed from the Nintendo eShop, as well as the Xbox Live Marketplace and Steam as of February 7th, 2022. So you only have until February 7th, 2022 to be able to purchase digitally Jump Force on any of those digital storefronts. That also includes any of the DLC that is available in the game. Obviously, if you had the Nintendo Switch version, that would just basically be DLC fighters from the Season 2 pass. With that being said, they also went a little bit further in their announcement to announce that internet support for the game would also be ceasing operations, those being the online events, the online ranked battles, everything associated with online and leaderboards and rank will be disabled as of August 24th, 2022. Apparently, there's still going to be offline, or not offline, but non-ranked battles that are going to be available for people to play, I believe, because that is peer-to-peer connection, but do not quote me on that 100%. So, it's a little bit baffling in regards to why Jump Force is being pulled so quickly. Or is it, really? Well, let's kind of deep dive here while you enjoy some gameplay here in the background of me playing as Son Goku. Why is Jump Force getting removed only 3 years into its lifespan? The game came out basically in 2019. It didn't really make its way onto Nintendo Switch until late 2020, so basically 3 years of lifespan. Well, for starters, on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, Jump Force got a very lukewarm reception, as I've covered many times in the game, even for the Nintendo Switch version that came a little bit later on. The game basically was very poorly optimized. It's very glitchy, frame per second, doesn't really run very well, it's not very smooth. There were a lot of problems with the AI difficulty in regards to story mode, which is still even present in the Deluxe version, which was available for the Nintendo Switch. What ended up happening with all these things is just, it was never really programmed correctly. The story was kind of very lackluster. I always said that Jump Force was kind of like a quick cash grab, which is very unfortunate, based on the fact that obviously it was meant to be the 50th anniversary celebration game for the Shonen Jump comics where these characters are featured in. So, game was not very well received upon its release on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. Eventually, obviously, they decided that they were going to release it on the Nintendo Switch as the Deluxe Edition. Obviously, it made kind of sense to bring Jump Force onto the Nintendo Switch. However, as you see, which this is the version that I'm actually playing right now, the Nintendo Switch version, Jump Force kind of has all the same problems that the PS4 and Xbox counterpart have. In fact, it goes even a step further with really poor optimization in terms of handheld and running at only 30 frames per second, because obviously the Nintendo Switch is not as powerful of a system. To make matters even worse, Jump Force kind of tried to do the Xenoverse 2 method, where they had jump medals that they introduced in a update about 6-7 months ago, in which you could use basically microtransactions to purchase some of the event costumes and online costumes that you're able to get from the online components of the game. That severely tanked because there weren't a whole bunch of people playing this game. Because the game necessarily had such a poor reputation, not a lot of people had bought it. Which brings us to the second point as to why Jump Force is being removed from all digital storefronts. It's pretty apparent at this point that it would cost the company that is doing this, Bandai Namco, and its little parent company that was also doing Jump Force, would be way too expensive to keep the existing licenses for all these characters. You have to remember, all these characters, you have to do licenses for the various anime companies that not only dub it, but as well as the original Japanese license holders as well. So it's kind of a licensing nightmare to be able to work out the multitude of agreements to keep characters in. So I'm suspecting what probably has happened is very similar to what happened with Dead by Daylight in the Stranger Things chapter, in which Netflix basically pulled the license from Dead by Daylight. I'm thinking Jump probably pulled some of the licensed characters, or one of the anime companies that dubs the animes that these characters are also featured in, one of the English dub ones, I should say, probably pulled the license, or it was too expensive for them to renew it, and because the characters were obviously going to be featured in the game, they're forced to pull it. Another theory was that they're going to make a different game, and they just kind of want to sweep this one under the rug for everybody else to completely forget about it. I don't believe that's the case, because when you look at the sales numbers for Jump Force and Jump Force Deluxe on the Switch, sales were just generally terrible. DLC sales were generally terrible as well. The game, unfortunately, was pretty much dead on release for the Nintendo Switch platform because of the reputation it got, and because early people who had gotten copies of the game pretty much showed how it ran, and it was pretty much dead on arrival. So I don't think, really, considering that they've tried this Jump Force experience before with various different anime titles and different games, that we will be seeing another Jump Force at least coming out here in the Western audience. Maybe in Japan they probably do something similar. There was rumor that they're trying to do kind of a Smash Brothers equivalent to Jump characters, but in order for them to do that, they would honestly have to go back to the old ways of previous games, that being Jump Ultimate Stars, which is really the only good Jump game that has come out, and that came out on the DS so many years back. So I don't really think that anybody's really going to be able to rival Smash, but everybody, including Warner Brothers, has tried it, so maybe one of the rumors going on is that they're going to try something of that nature with these characters, but I think it's just the game did poorly, and it's not worth renewing the nut licenses in America and everywhere across the world for a game that's just selling terribly and not really picking up copies. Online for this game has been pretty much dead, especially on the Nintendo Switch, for a very long time anyway, so it makes perfect sense to pull the services there as well. So it really becomes a question as to why did this game fail? Poor optimization. Then when they had the chance to fix all the mistakes with the Nintendo Switch version of it, they just gave it even less optimized experience on a handheld platform. As you see, this game is struggling, and I'm playing this in dock right now to be able to even do things effectively, which is a shame. Jump Force on paper seems like such a cool concept. I've always said, the very cinematic experience of fighting, because when you do your special moves, which are very easy to pull off, and it's very easy to pick up and play type of game, you know, the cinematic experience is pretty cool. Another thing that kind of killed it, a lot of people didn't prefer really the art style that was used in this particular game. They felt that having 3D anime models in basically a real-world setting, obviously using the Unreal Engine in particular, was just kind of a bad thing. I got a good counter there, so this is pretty much guaranteed to hit, and we'll get the KO on Sasuke. Again, this is the cool parts of Jump Force, when you actually hit these specials and finishers and you get the cinematic experience. Unfortunately, with such poor optimization and everything of the sort, and then weird, baffling updates, very expensive DLC on top, it just was not going to sell well. Look at that. The game even struggles when you're in the post-match screen victory celebration, and it just kind of slows down. And this is a problem that's not just prevalent on the Nintendo Switch platform, but as well as the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 brands. It never came out on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Honestly, if they had even put it out on those platforms, I really doubt anybody would have picked it up. Sales have just been dismal. This was pretty much a epic fail all around. So at this point, Bandai Namco just kind of wants to erase the existence of this game and hope that everybody who actually purchased it pretty much forgets about it. Now, the one thing that kind of burns me about this is the same thing that happened with Friday the 13th, the game on the Nintendo Switch platform as well. That the game has only been out really on Nintendo Switch for a year before the game's online support and basically the dev support gets completely pulled from the game. Now, keep in mind, if you don't buy the DLC before or on February 7th when the game gets pulled, you will never be able to get any of the DLC characters available in the game ever again. Keep in mind that you probably will be able to find some copies of this game laying around maybe at a local GameStop, because I believe it was available on GameStop for the Switch, and I don't know if it was a GameStop exclusive for PS4 or Xbox One, because obviously I didn't own on those platforms, and obviously on Steam it's a digital platform as well. So, but you could possibly find a copy of this game for dirt cheap, maybe, in one of those storefronts, and maybe then you want to pick up the DLC. But keep in mind, if you don't even pick up this game and a physical copy, and let's say your hard drive gets wiped or something of the sort, and the game gets corrupted, you'll never have access to the game again, which is very unfortunate. Although, you have implied that if you buy it on a digital storefront, that they'll still keep it available for those who already have purchased it to be able to re-download it. I don't know. Only time really will tell if that actually is the truth. Obviously, storefronts for, like, Nintendo Switch and particularly PlayStation tend to support their things for a very long time, but even those eventually go down, and then you can no longer pick up the game anymore. It's just kind of unfortunate because of that, but it was an epic failure. You know, I always felt like this game kind of needed a massive overhaul, and it kind of felt like it was released before it was really ready, and it was in a broken state, and they just wanted to do a quick cash grab because they know that regardless of how terrible anime-related games are, the anime fans of certain genres will just buy the game regardless. I mean, I'm probably guilty of this as well, because when I heard it was coming to the Switch, and it was just going to be able to battle with all these anime characters I'm very familiar with from various different things, that would be kind of cool, but I kind of knew what I was getting myself into, so I guess that's kind of part of the problem. But they knew it was a quick cash grab. I'm kind of annoyed on the Nintendo Switch one that we got it pulled so quickly in regards to support. It's like Season 2 just came out with all the passes not too long ago, maybe about 6-7 months ago, and now we're already pulling support for the game. So at the end of the day, we probably wasted about $80 to $120 between the DLC and getting the game. You know, if you could probably pick it up on a sale, which I would assume they're probably going to put it on sale to just kind of get a little bit more money before the game pretty much gets sunsetted as a whole, you probably would want to do it, but I don't know. It's very troubling, to say the very least. Very unfortunate, but yes, rest in peace, Jump Force. This is pretty much the final time I will probably be covering it on this platform. I'm not even going to bother trying to get online matches because it's dead. It's been dead for a very long time. So, you know, if you haven't picked it up and you're one of these weebs that must have these type of games, definitely make sure you pick it up. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's episode. As always, a like is greatly appreciated on this video. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, definitely consider doing so, as it helps the channel grow, and I'll see you next time.